Study Room 7. Cycle 47, Standard Galactic Time. Observer Zynth recording. This is my 1000th log entry since being assigned to Alien Academy. I have documented 847 lectures, 312 meals, 19 disciplinary incidents, and one event that defies easy categorization. I will record it here with the precision it deserves. I am a chronicler of the Vorthan collective. My species has existed for 11,000 years. We do not build empires. We do not wage wars. We observe. We record. Every detail, every moment, every interaction. Our archives span galaxies and millennia. If it happens, a chronicler is watching. I have been embedded in Study Room 7 for 3 standard cycles, documenting the social dynamics of Class 47 Zeta for the collective's ongoing study of multi-species education. The class contains 200 beings from 12 species, plus 1 anomaly. The anomaly arrived 21 days ago. Her name is Luna Chen. She is a human, female, approximately 21 Earth years old. She has red hair, which is unusual for her species. She wears the standard gray uniform, though it fits her poorly. The fabric was never designed for a biped with her proportions. She is the first human to attend Alien Academy. The exchange program was approved by the Intergalactic Council over the objections of several member species. Among those who objected was a Xar'gath of the Khitan dynasty. His name is Xar'gath. He is 9.3 standard units tall. He has 4 arms, each capable of exerting sufficient force to crush durasteel. His body is covered in black chitinous armor with red edges. His eyes emit light in the infrared spectrum. He belongs to a warrior species that has existed for approximately 6,000 years and has spent approximately 5,900 of those years at war with someone. Their homeworld is a harsh place with extreme gravity and toxic atmosphere. Weakness is not tolerated there. Compassion is unknown. He does not like humans. This is not unusual. Many species do not like humans. Humans are new to the galactic community. They have only had faster-than-light travel for 70 years. They have only made contact with other species for 50. They are primitive by every measurable standard. Their technology is crude. Their biology is fragile. Their understanding of galactic politics is laughable. But Xar'gath's dislike is different from the others. It is active. Aggressive. He does not merely think humans are inferior. He wants to prove it. He wants to hurt them. I have observed Xar'gath for 21 days. In that time, he has broken 2 Ktharn tusks, terrified a Nyx into involuntary materialization, and made 3 Xylosians emit distress pheromones. He is what my species would call a disruption to the data set. Luna Chen is what my species would call an unexpected variable. I have been studying variables for 11,000 years. I have learned that the most interesting data always comes from unexpected places. Let me describe the classroom so the record is complete. The room is 30 standard units wide and 40 standard units long. The walls are a neutral gray. There are 2 windows on the eastern wall, which look out onto the Academy's central courtyard. Beyond the courtyard, 3 moons can be seen rising during the evening cycle. There are 60 desks arranged in a grid of 15 columns and 4 rows. Each desk is adjustable for species of varying sizes. The molt requires 2 desks. The drift requires none. The professor is a quartzian, a crystalline being approximately 2,000 years old. It communicates through vibrations that translate into standard galactic. It has been teaching intergalactic geometry for 400 years. It does not tolerate disruptions but has developed a patient tolerance for the chaos inherent in multi-species education. The other students have become familiar to me over these 21 cycles. I will document them for the record. The Ktharn. His name is Grax. He sits to the left of the human. He is a bipedal mass of muscle and bone, approximately 2.5 standard units tall, with tusks that project upward from his lower jaw. He is a geology major. He can identify minerals by taste. He has become the human's primary friend in the class, possibly because he nearly broke her hand on the first day and felt guilty about it. The Veil. 3 of them share a single desk behind the human. They are translucent beings who communicate through direct neural projection. They do not speak. They project images, concepts, emotions directly into your consciousness. It is disorienting at first. The human seems to have adapted. The Veil have developed an interest in earth creatures called cats. They project images of cats at least once per lecture. The professor no longer comments on this. I have also noticed they project images of the human when she is not looking. There is fondness in these projections. The human has earned their trust, which is difficult to do. The Veil are naturally cautious. The Glimmer. A sentient orb of electromagnetic energy that floats near the ceiling. It hums classical music, primarily from the human earth tradition. It is currently working through a piece called Beethoven's 7th Symphony, second movement. It is the top student in the class despite having no visible means of interacting with physical objects. Its doctoral thesis concerns the relationship between prime numbers and emotional states. I have read the abstract. I am still analyzing it. The Xylosians. 6 beings occupying the entire left row. They have segmented bodies and communicate entirely through pheromone release. The air around them is a constant chemical conversation that I cannot fully interpret. The human cannot interpret it at all. She has learned to nod and smile when they look in her direction. This appears to be adequate. The Pharaons. For beings made of living metal. They do not breathe. They do not eat. They occasionally leak lubricant. The professor has installed a drip tray under their desk. They are studying engineering. They are the only students who wear the gray uniform without complaint, possibly because they cannot distinguish it from any other color. The Nyx. Shadow beings from a dimension that overlaps this one at irregular intervals. They are technically present in the room but not always visible to all species. 3 of them share one desk. Sometimes there are 3. Sometimes there appear to be more. I have been observing them for 21 cycles and I still cannot determine their exact number. This is frustrating. The Molt. Its name is Skitter, which the human gave it. It is an insectoid, 8 standard units tall, with compound eyes that see in multiple spectrums. Its mandibles click when it is nervous, which is most of the time. Despite its intimidating appearance, it is the gentlest being in the room. It is studying botany. It keeps a garden in its dormitory. It has shown the human pictures of its plants, which glow in the dark. The human expressed genuine interest. The Molt has been less nervous around her ever since. I have catalogued this as a positive social bond formation. The Deep One. It sits near the window in a mobile tank of pressurized seawater. Its species comes from a world covered entirely in water. It communicates through pressure waves that the tank translates into sound. Its name in its own language translates roughly to the sound of distant waves at midnight. The human calls it midnight. It studies marine xenobiology. The Drift. A gaseous being held in containment by a magnetic field. It shifts colors based on its emotional state. Green is contentment. Red is anger. Blue is sadness. Purple is deep thought. It is studying art history. It has no desk. It hovers near the back wall and occasionally passes through solid objects when bored. The professor has given up trying to contain it. The Shard. A crystalline being similar to the professor but smaller and with sharper angles. It has expressed dislike for the human on multiple occasions. It called her soft and biological and limited. I have observed that it sits alone at the front of the class and has not made a single friend in 21 cycles. I suspect its hostility toward the human is rooted in something other than genuine animosity. The Tensor. A being of pure mathematical abstraction. It manifests as occasional patterns of light. It does not speak. It does not interact. It occasionally corrects the professor's equations. I am not certain it is aware it is in a classroom. And Xar'gath. I have already described him. He occupies the corner desk as far from everyone else as possible. He has not spoken to anyone except to issue threats. The human has been his primary target since her arrival. I have recorded all of this because context is important for understanding what happened today. The lecture began at the standard time. Professor Quartz was teaching tensor calculus, specifically the application of Riemannian manifolds to intergalactic navigation. The glimmer was humming Bach. The drift was a calm green. I was recording. Then the professor stopped. Its crystals vibrated in an alarm pattern I had not observed before. I checked my database. It was the emergency containment protocol. The door sealed. The locks engaged. Xar'gath stood up. My recording equipment captured every detail. He cracked his knuckles in sequence. His red eyes swept the room. He smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. He made a speech. He called humans weak and soft. He said they polluted the academy. He said he would prove it. He pointed at the human. The class reaction was immediate and measurable. Fear pheromones from the Xylosians. A dimming of the glimmer's light. The Nyx retreated further into shadow. The Molt's mandibles clicked at twice their normal rate. The Chtharn looked at the floor. Grax started to rise. The human placed a hand on his arm and said something I could not hear. He sat down. She stood up. She said something to Xar'gath. He laughed. It was a grinding sound. He charged. I have recorded thousands of fights in my career. I have documented conflicts between species that predate human civilization. I have seen beings explode, dissolve, and disintegrate. I have never seen a fight quite like this one. The human moved in a way that did not match any combat style in my database. She dropped into a low position as Xar'gath swung his lower left arm. The limb passed over her head with room to spare. She rose and struck him in the soft tissue beneath his leading arm. The nerve bundle there is vulnerable. She hit it precisely. His eyes widened. He was surprised. I made a note of this. She moved to his side with a footwork pattern I now recognize as human boxing. She was inside his guard before his upper arms could reach her. She struck his torso 3 times. The chitin cracked on the third impact. He swatted at her. She blocked with her forearm and used the momentum of his own strike to spin behind him. This technique is called redirect and reposition. It comes from a human martial art called Shotokan. I updated my database. This was the moment I realized something important about humans. I have documented many warrior species. I have seen the Klaxi, who evolved claws that can pierce starship hulls. I have seen the Xar'gath, who generate electrical fields that can stop a heart from 20 meters. I have seen the Xar'gath, whose bite force exceeds anything in the known galaxy. I have seen them all fight. I have recorded their techniques, their strategies, their battle cries. I have filled entire archives with combat data from 1,000 worlds. Every single one of them evolved for power. They developed natural weapons. Natural armor. Natural advantages. Their combat is straightforward. They overpower or they are overpowered. Humans have none of these things. Their bodies are soft and fragile, as Xar'gath correctly noted. They have no claws. No fangs. No armor. No venom. They are slow compared to most species. They are weak compared to almost all of them. A single human, unarmed and alone, would lose a physical confrontation with almost any other being in this room. And yet, And yet they have spent thousands of years developing intricate systems specifically designed to hurt each other. They have turned their own bodies into weapons through sheer creativity and discipline. They strike from angles that do not exist in nature. They use leverage to overcome strength that exceeds their own by factors of 10. They attack joints instead of muscle. They attack nerves instead of bone. They feint. They set up. They combine. They counter. They have developed techniques that take decades to master and centuries to perfect. I have reviewed the human historical records. Their martial arts are ancient. Some are over 5,000 years old. They have been refined across countless generations, tested in countless battles. Every technique has been optimized. Every weakness has been identified and addressed. And they are not taught for sport. They are taught for survival. Because the most important thing to understand about humans is this. Aliens fight to dominate. Humans fight to survive. There is a difference. And that difference was standing in the middle of study room 7, bleeding from her knuckles, staring down a 9-foot armored warrior with 4 arms and a grudge. Xar'gath turned to face her again. He adjusted his stance, spreading his 4 arms wide to trap her. She stepped forward instead of retreating. He attacked with a 3-strike combination. Upper left, lower right, upper right. A calculated pattern designed to trap her between impacts. She slipped the first with a head movement, a technique I now recognize as a boxer's slip. She blocked the second on her forearm. The third caught her on the shoulder because she could not avoid all 3, but she had positioned herself to take the least damaging option. The impact spun her. She used the rotation to generate power for an elbow strike to his jaw. Chitin cracked again. He staggered backward. She followed immediately. She struck his knee with a front kick. The technique is called a teep in Muay Thai. Not enough power to buckle the joint, but enough to remind him it was vulnerable. He flinched. His weight shifted off that leg. I recorded this. He grabbed at her waist with his lower arms, trying to immobilize her. She allowed the contact for a fraction of a second. Then she dropped her weight and pulled him forward, using his own grabbing momentum against him. This is a principle I have since learned is fundamental to many human martial arts. Do not resist force. Redirect it. He stumbled over her, off balance. She was already scrambling to her feet while he was still recovering. She did not attack while he was down. She waited. She told him to get up. He did. He was learning. I could see it in his posture. He was more cautious now. His 4 arms were positioned defensively instead of offensively. He was reassessing his opponent. I made a note that he was adapting. I also made a note that she was letting him. He attacked again. Sweeping strikes from all 4 arms. She ducked under one, blocked another, and took a third on her shoulder. She was reading his patterns. I could see it in her eyes. She was not just fighting him. She was studying him. Within 2 more exchanges, she had predicted his next move before he made it. She ducked under his upper right arm, stepped past his lower left, and locked her legs around his lowest pair of arms. She twisted her hips and secured a position that my database identifies as a body triangle from the human martial art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He could not reach her. 4 arms, all of them pinned or unable to bend at the necessary angles. His upper arms tried to grab at her, but she was positioned behind his shoulders, outside his range of motion. He could not twist enough to make contact. He tried to crush her against the wall. She anticipated the movement. She released the body triangle, dropped to the floor, and swept his remaining standing leg with a wrestling technique called a low single. He hit the ground. The impact registered on my seismic instruments. She did not wait. She was on him immediately. She struck his knee with her shin. Full hip rotation. Maximum power transfer. The chitin at the joint was thin. It was never designed to withstand impact from that angle. It cracked with an audible sound that I recorded at 43 decibels. He screamed. I have catalogued this vocalization as a pain response. She struck the side of his head with the same technique. His eye socket chitin split on impact. Dark ichor sprayed across the floor. I collected a sample for analysis. It was consistent with hemolymph from chitinous species. He was on his knees now. One leg compromised. One eye streaming fluid. His forearms moved defensively, no longer attacking, just trying to shield his body from further strikes. She did not stop. She caught his upper left arm as it crossed his face. She hyperextended the elbow beyond its normal range of motion. The joint locked. She drove her fist into the exposed connection point. The arm went limp. His lower left arm grabbed at her leg. She stomped the elbow joint, pinning it to the floor. She used the leverage to twist his remaining functional arm behind his back. He was face down. 3 of 4 arms disabled. Bleeding from the eye socket. His knee was shattered. He was still trying to fight. His species does not submit. I have reviewed the historical records. Xar'gath warriors fight until they cannot move. She made it so he could not move. She mounted his back. She locked her legs around his torso. She wrapped her arm around his throat. A rear naked choke. I have since learned that this is considered the most fundamental submission technique in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It does not restrict breathing. It restricts blood flow to the brain. Applied correctly, it causes unconsciousness in approximately 15 seconds. She applied it correctly. He thrashed for 10 seconds. Then his movements weakened. At 15 seconds, he stopped struggling. At 20 seconds, his body went limp. She held the choke for 5 more seconds, then released him and stood up. Her knuckles were bleeding. Her uniform was torn. Her shoulder was swelling. She was breathing heavily, and her heart rate was elevated. Xar'gath was unconscious on the floor. She looked at him and said, quote, "Still think humans are weak," end quote. I recorded this. The room was silent for 3 seconds. Then it erupted. The Xar'gath let out a vocalization that damaged the ceiling tiles. He struck his desk, which collapsed. The veil projected fireworks. The glimmer became extremely bright and began playing a human song called "We Are the Champions." The molt slid the human a note with medical instructions for her shoulder, complete with anatomical diagrams. The Xylosians released pheromones that translated to respect and admiration. The Pharaons nodded slowly. Midnight the deep one bubbled and said, quote, "The small one has teeth. I am pleased," end quote. The drift shifted to a warm gold and settled near the human's shoulder. The tensor projected an equation calculating the force of her strikes at 43.7 newtons with an efficiency of 94.2%. Even the shard nodded once. The professor declared the fight concluded and dismissed class. The human sat down. She was shaking. The molt gave her a painkiller from its homeworld. She thanked it. I recorded all of this. That night, I observed the human in her dormitory. Standard procedure. I was monitoring all class members for post-traumatic stress indicators. She sat on her bed for a long time, staring at the wall. Her shoulder was bandaged. Her knuckles were wrapped. Her face was bruised. She did not move for approximately 20 minutes. Then she activated her communicator. Her father appeared on the screen. He was an older male human with gray hair and tired eyes. He was in a room filled with martial arts equipment. A dojo. I have since learned this is a training facility for human combat. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, quote, "You are hurt," end quote. She said she was fine. He said, quote, "You have bandages on your knuckles. And a bruise on your face." And you are holding your shoulder at a weird angle that means it hurts, end quote. She laughed. It was a genuine expression of amusement. I recorded it. She told him the entire story. Every detail. The challenge. The fight. The techniques she used. The moment Xar'gath fell. The class reaction. The pizza. He listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was silent for a long time. Then he asked, quote, "Did you use the body triangle?" end quote. She said, quote, "Dad," end quote, in a tone I have learned indicates exasperation. He said, quote, "I am asking. It is a legitimate question," end quote. She said yes. She used the body triangle. He asked if she checked the choke was clean before she applied it. She said yes. He asked if she released as soon as he went limp. She said yes. He asked if she went to the medical bay. She said yes. He smiled. It was a rare expression. I have catalogued human facial expressions extensively. This one was genuine warmth. He said, quote, "Proud of you," end quote. I have been observing for 11,000 years. I have seen pride in many forms. I have seen it in queens and warriors and explorers and scientists. I have seen it expressed in 1,000 languages across 1,000 worlds. This one was genuine. They talked for another hour. About nothing. About everything. About the academy and the strange food and the 3 moons outside her window and the fact that she had made actual friends among alien species. When she finally ended the call, she sat in silence for a moment. Then she lay down and went to sleep. I recorded her vital signs. Her heart rate returned to normal within 15 minutes. She did not have nightmares. This was notable. After a fight like that, most species experience some form of traumatic stress response. The human did not. Either she was exceptionally well adapted to violence, or her training had prepared her for this moment in ways I was only beginning to understand. I made a note to investigate human martial arts pedagogy more thoroughly. 3 days later, Xar'gath returned to class. I recorded his entry in detail. His chitin had been repaired by the medical bay. The cracks were sealed. His eye had regenerated. But he walked with a limp. The knee was still healing. And he kept his 4 arms folded close to his body instead of crossed defiantly over his chest. He did not look at anyone. He walked to his desk. He sat down. He stared at the board. The class watched him in silence. I measured elevated stress indicators across multiple species. The Xylosians released caution pheromones. The molt's mandibles clicked nervously. The Nyx retreated into deeper shadow. Then the human stood up. She walked across the room. She sat down in the empty seat next to him. The class went silent. Even the glimmer stopped humming. I positioned my recording equipment for optimal capture. Xar'gath's red eyes flicked toward her. There was something in them I had not seen before. Not fear. Not respect, exactly. Something more complex. Confusion mixed with acknowledgement mixed with something I could not identify. He spoke first. He said, quote, "You fight well," end quote. The words appeared to cost him significant effort. She said, quote, "I know," end quote. A long pause. I measured it at exactly 4.3 seconds. Then he said, quote, "I was wrong. About humans," end quote. She said, quote, "I know that too," end quote. Another pause. His mandibles clicked once. I have learned that this is an expression of uncertainty in his species. He asked for her name. She told him. He repeated it, testing the sound. Then he gave his own name. She said she already knew it. He said, quote, "I think I may have misjudged your species," end quote. She said, quote, "Probably," end quote. He almost smiled. It was a terrifying expression. His species does not smile naturally. He was attempting a human gesture. He had clearly practiced. She almost smiled back. I made a note. Cross-species emotional mirroring. Significant. Later that night, I observed Xar'gath in his dormitory. He was writing. The medium was chitin. The message was etched with precision. He wrote for approximately 1 hour. He discarded 3 drafts before he was satisfied. When he finished, he delivered the message to the human's door. He did not wait for a response. I obtained access to the message through standard observation protocols. It read as follows. Quote. Luna. I do not apologize easily. Among my people, apology is a sign of weakness. But I have observed you. You are not weak. You showed mercy when you could have shown cruelty. You could have injured me further. You did not. This is strange to me. I do not understand it. But I respect it. I was wrong about your species. If you are willing, I would like to learn more about your fighting techniques. Perhaps you could teach me. I will not cause trouble again. You have my word. Xar'gath. End quote. The human read it 3 times. I recorded her facial expressions. First surprise. Then amusement. Then something I have catalogued as warmth. She wrote a reply. Quote. Xar'gath. Apology accepted. But if I am going to teach you, you have to call me by my full name. It is Luna Chen. And you have to bring snacks. Also, your species does not smile well. Do not do it again until I teach you how. Luna. End quote. She slid it under his door before class the next morning. When they passed each other in the hallway, he nodded at her. She nodded back. It was not friendship. Not yet. But I have been observing for 11,000 years. I know how these things begin. The next morning, class resumed as normal. Professor Quartz taught intergalactic geometry. The glimmer hummed Bach. The drift pulsed a peaceful green. Midnight bubbled contentedly in its tank. And in the back corner of the room, a human and an alien sat next to each other. Not quite friends. But no longer enemies. The gray uniforms still made everyone look the same. But something had changed. I could measure it in the chemical composition of the air. The Xylosians were emitting pheromones I had not detected before. Positive association markers. The veil were projecting images of humans now, not just cats. The molt's mandibles clicked at half their previous rate. The tensor projected a single equation that I have since decoded. It translates to equilibrium restored. Even the shard seemed different. It did not look at the human during class. But it did not look away either. I have been observing for 11,000 years. I have filled approximately 7 billion pages of observation logs across 17 galactic civilizations. I have documented the rise and fall of empires. I have recorded the birth of stars and the death of species. I have never been uncertain of my data before. But I am uncertain now. Because I do not know what the human will do next. I do not know what she is capable of. She is 5.3 standard units tall. She weighs approximately 50 kilograms. She has no natural armor. No natural weapons. No venom. No claws. No fangs. No visible advantages of any kind. And she defeated a 9-foot armored warrior with 4 arms and 1,000 generations of combat evolution behind him. She did it without technology. Without weapons. Without assistance. She did it with her body and her mind and nothing else. I have reviewed my archives. I have searched for any comparable event in the history of the galaxy. I have found none. There is no precedent for a species this fragile producing individuals this capable. There is no precedent for a prey animal defeating a predator through technique alone. There is no precedent for what I witnessed in Study Room 7 on Cycle 47. The Intergalactic Council approved the Human Exchange Program as a gesture of goodwill. A diplomatic formality. They expected the humans to fail. They expected them to withdraw, humiliated, and leave galactic politics to the species who understood them. I do not think that will happen now. I am updating my database extensively. I am adding new categories. New classifications. New warnings. Humans are not weak. Humans are not soft. Humans are not fragile. Humans are the most dangerous species I have ever documented. And Luna Chen is only the first. There will be more. The exchange program is expanding. More humans will come to Alien Academy. More humans will sit in classrooms like Study Room 7, wearing gray uniforms that do not fit them, surrounded by beings who do not understand them. And they will learn. They will adapt. They will prove themselves. Because that is what humans do. I have only been studying them for 21 days, but I have learned this much. Humans do not back down. Humans do not give up. Humans do not accept the limits that others place on them. They find a way. I have been observing for 11,000 years. I have seen species rise and fall. I have seen civilizations crumble and rebuild. I have seen the galaxy change in ways that would take 1,000,000 lifetimes to fully document. But I have never seen anything quite like a human being told she cannot do something. I will be watching. I will be recording. Because if the rest of humanity is anything like Luna Chen, the galaxy is about to change in ways that no one can predict. Including me. This has been the 1000th log entry of Observer Xar'gath, Chronicler of the Vorthan Collective. Recording complete.